Hey Robin, welcome to the GAC RMHC Golf Classic. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you here in your setup, let's take a look at your posture. Your spine's nice and straight and on a slight tilt. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down a little bit out in front of you, and the club works out to the ball. So if I were going to work on your golf game, I'd revise your posture just a little bit by getting your spine just a little bit more angled forward. Keep your legs unlocked exactly as they are. And then let the arms hang down a little bit more naturally so your hands are just a hair closer to you. And then let the golf club work out to the ball from there. Okay? So a little revision in your posture would be ideal. At this point in time, from this vantage point, we can also go ahead and take a look at your alignment. We can see your feet running in this direction. Carry that out towards the fairway. Now, theoretically, your club face at address is supposed to run parallel to your feet, and parallel lines on camera will have an appearance of converging. And in that scenario, we basically have you set up pretty much right down the center of the fairway. So that's terrific. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Chella Choi. Now we got some color-coded lines up on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. So we can see with Chella there, if you notice her spine, that it is tilted a little bit more forward, like I was saying, and then the alignments are quite similar. As we go ahead and watch the golf swing, simply want to draw the golf club back by creating good shoulder rotation, bringing arms and hands back as well as the club. And as we draw this golf club back, we want to see the club coming back along the red line, which means that the golf club is swinging back on a proper swing plane and swinging back on a nice, natural, subtle arc. As we get the golf club back a few feet here, we're going to have to start incorporating some good wrist hinge into play, where we're going to transition the club having been below and in front of the hands to now being above and slightly behind the hands. From here, we're going to work the club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. And when we set the club at the top of the backswing, pretty much want to have the left arm of the club on the yellow line or somewhere within the blue-yellow V zone that's drawn on the screen. We also want to create full shoulder rotation, and we want to do this about a very stable right leg. So at this point in time, we can go ahead and take a look at your backswing here. We can see that you have a tendency of taking your hands outside of your swing plane with the club shaft and the club head. So it's almost like you're picking the golf club up. What you'd like to do is when you swing the golf club back, don't be afraid to let your hands, the club, and the club head swing a little bit more around to the inside. Because the golf swing is a circular motion, and the circle isn't going to work out away from your body, it's going to work around your body. So let the club head work back on the inside as we initiate this takeaway. As we continue to come back here, we can see that you continue to lift your hands and the golf club instead of swinging it around you. We also got to start to see that you create some good wrist hinge into play, which is a little bit late through here. Start to acquire a little bit there. Right here, we can see you start to drop the club back in behind your hands now, because your subconscious brain is saying you can't virtually continue to pick your arms up and keep the club out there to have any power. So the club starts to fall back in behind you and starts to get to a better position. So if we're going to end up getting the golf club into this position, we might as well initiate that move right from the get-go. The other thing we see is that you really stand up out of your posture that you achieved at address. And the whole idea behind achieving good posture is that when we move the golf swing, we want to function off of that geometry. So what we can see here on the left side of the screen, if we take a look at Chella Choi and we take a look at her spine was on this angle right from the get-go. So we'll go back to address. Well, there's her spinal position. So she's basically rotating on that axis that she's set at address. In your case, if we come back down to address, we'd already talked about the fact that we wanted you to be tilted over a little bit more than you are. But even if we go ahead and put the angle up that we achieve at address, what we can see is when you make your backswing, not only do you pick your hands and arms up with the club, but you also stand up out of your posture by the time you get to the top of your backswing. So we can see at this point in time now your spine has virtually moved to here. So that's a lot of elevation change during your backswing. And all we want to simply do is we want to learn how to establish a good angle to begin with, and we want to rotate, and we want to complete a backswing while we maintain that spinal position. We don't want to stand up, because now you're going to have to dive back down to hit the golf ball. As we go ahead and watch the transition back into the ball, simply want to watch the left side of the screen. All we want to do now is we want to move our weight from our right foot to our left. We want to fire the knees and the hips laterally to the target. We want to unwind the core and fire the hands. And in doing so, we want to make sure that we're bringing this golf club from yellow back down on top of red, which is where the club originated. And that's exactly what we can see here with Chela Choi. The golf club is returning back to being on plane. At this point in time, we also want to observe the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. It simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind her hands coming into the hitting zone, and this is what's going to allow her to create a lot of power in the golf swing, let alone her ability to hit the ball straight, due to the fact, again, that the club has returned back to plane, which is a main ingredient in order to produce straight golf shots. So let's watch you create your transition back into the ball. Hands drop out in front of you, and you're pushing the club out in front as well. So if we track the club head, we're going to watch this club move further and further out in front of your hands. The golf club right now is not returning back to plane like we see with Chela Choi. So let's go ahead and go to the next frame for you. Club's going to fall further out in front. Let's undo that, and we'll just put a line up on the screen. We'll go to the next frame. Club's going to go further out in front again, and the next frame, again yet further out in front. So if we go ahead and connect the dots here, we can get a really good visual as to the steepness of the descending plane coming in to the golf ball. Whereas with Chela Choi, again, the club had returned back to the plane, and then watch where her club attacks the ball from. Attacks the ball from the red line, or actually in her case, slightly underneath. So at this point in time, because she's coming to the ball from on plane, she's going to hit the ball straight in accordance to her alignment, assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. So if we want to have consistency and we want to hit straight shots, there's three things we need. We have to aim well. Feet have to run parallel left of the target line. The club has to return down on plane in order to hit the ball straight in accordance to that alignment. And then lastly, the club face has to square up via having a good grip to make it all come together. In your case, we can see that the club is not coming into the ball from the red line, from on plane, and the downswings are vastly different. At this point in time, we can take a look at the pass of the club. We can see with Chela Choi, her club is inside the ball. It expands out to make contact and moves through in a nice natural subtle arc. Your golf club is stuck outside the ball, dropping down and across to make contact. At this point in time, if we happen to square the club face up to this swing path, obviously you're going to pull the golf ball over here in that direction. If you happen to release the club relative to the red path, not only will you pull the ball, but you would have imparted right to left spin, and you're going to hit some form of a pull draw or a pull hook. If we leave the club face a little bit open to the path, we have the ability to block the ball out to the right just a little bit. Therefore, we're imparting a little bit of left to right spin because the face was open, and we're going to produce this nice soft pull fade. If we leave the club face too open to the path, we'll block the ball even further right, which is pretty incredible considering we're swinging the golf club to the left. Therefore, the club face had to be wide open. At that point in time, we're imparting way too much left to right spin, and we're hitting a block slice. So the end result of your golf shot is solely dictated based on the timing of the club face. Because the golf club is attacking the ball from outside, hitting the ball and moving to the inside, if we square the face, it follows the red arrow. Over release the club, it follows the smaller red arrows. Leave the club face wide open, it follows the blue arrows. And if we time it properly, it follows yellow and will find the intended target. But this does require a lot of timing on your part in order to find the center of the fairway. At point of impact here, we can see your right heel's off the ground, just like Chela, so that's perfect. Just want to pay attention to her swinging through the ball and what happens with that right foot. What we're going to see here is the right heel continues to come off the ground. She's going to get up onto the toe of her right foot. We're going to be able to count all the spikes in her right shoe. This is going to displace all her weight on her left side. It also allows her hips to square around and shoulders to fully rotate, hands high, and the club back in behind us. With you, let's go ahead and pay attention to your footwork here as you're moving through. So not bad, you're coming off your right heel, not fully getting up onto your toe, but nonetheless you get up off your heel enough that you can get your weight to your left side. Want to revise that just a little bit by fully getting up onto the right toe, maybe even dragging the foot a little and showing us the spikes in the shoe. Overall, you've got some nice athletic qualities with respect to your golf swing. I like how your hands work. You certainly bring your hands back and fire them through. That's great. You coil a little bit on the way back and you uncoil through. You've got a nice finish where you're creating a little bit of footwork that's allowing you to get to a finish. Your alignment's good. Your posture's not bad. Need to refine that that spinal tilt just a little bit. And then, in summary, the bigger keys dynamically are when you bring the golf club back, again, do not be afraid to let your hands, arms, and club move a lot more inside and around you, not outside and picking it up, okay? While we're doing that, ideally, we would like to be rotating on an axis that's on a little bit more of an angle and don't stand up while we make that backswing. And then from there, the biggest key really, which is the single most important aspect of the dynamic move, is we can't come into the golf ball from over the top, which you're doing right there, attacking the ball from outside to inside, and then at that point in time you're going to have to manipulate with the club face in order to produce the ball going towards where we want it to go. Okay? So again, lots of nice athleticism, but we need to refine some of these static fundamentals and implement some of these dynamic fundamentals in the swing motion itself. Anyway, any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. Be happy to structure a little program for you. Also, if you guys are involved with any golf tournaments at all and you're looking to provide your guests with a unique gift, certainly reach out and I'd be happy to discuss my swing analysis services with you. Anyway, I hope you had a fabulous day and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. Take care.